Alright, now that we know that atoms are made up of subatomic particles, we've got protons, neutrons and electrons. Protons, neutrons and electrons. It's good to go back and have a look at the periodic table now, so we can work out a few of the patterns that we see in the periodic table. Because really the periodic table is all about organizing the different elements into particular groups that have a common structure in their atoms. So let's go back and look at the periodic table here. We've got, remember, we read the periodic table just like a book. So we start at the top left with hydrogen. That's number 1. And we read all the way down left to right and row by row until we get to organosin down at the bottom, which is the last element, number 118. So in the whole universe that we know of, there are 118 different elements. The next thing we remember about the periodic table is it's arranged into rows and columns. So each column, starting at the left, these are called groups. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all the way up to group 18 at the end. So columns are called groups. And then when we look horizontally at the rows, these are called periods. And we can count down the periods. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different periods. Remember, the 2 brown groups of elements, they actually fit inside here. So the periodic table really is stretched out further, but we take them out and put them underneath so it's easier to fit on one piece of paper. Otherwise it would stretch right out of the screen. So we can use the groups and the periods to identify a particular element. So if we look here, which element is in group 1 and period 4? We can look where those two cross. And here we've got potassium, which is K. So if you need to identify any element, you can always use groups and periods. So the next thing to think about is how do protons, neutrons and electrons fit in with the periodic table? Well, remember that last video we said protons and the number of protons, that tells us which element it is. So the number of protons determines the element. And that's the same as its atomic number. So if we look back at potassium, its little number is 19. And remembering the way we write atomic numbers, they go at the bottom left. Potassium's atomic number is 19. So it must have 19 protons in its nucleus. And we also remember that atoms are neutral, so they don't have a charge, which means every atom normally also has the same number of electrons, which are negatively charged. So potassium atoms will also have 19 electrons. So now we can look at the atomic number of any different element and that would tell us the number of protons straight away. So let's pick a few more random ones that you might have heard about. Gold is number 79. So every gold atom has 79 protons. And another interesting one is copper. Copper has 29 protons because its atomic number is 29. So the periodic table, it sorts elements into similar groups, and it tells us the information about its nucleus, the protons and the neutrons, and it tells us about the electrons as well.